Okay, we're before our featured speaker, Michael Altshuter, you're going to see here in another hour. We have some other value-added opportunities, one of which I know firsthand from my office. If you look at our office, what we've done is we've converted a lot of our, not only our existing merchants, but whenever we run into a merchant which is level 2, level 3, we have now this great relationship with PayTrace. And I have to tell you, I've saved merchants thousands of dollars, and at the same time, I've increased my margins. And it's just a beautiful relationship. We've only had great things with talking to my staff, relationships with them, customers, merchants are happy. So I'm very pleased to bring on board Marcy Taylor and Michael, M&M I call him. How do you pronounce that thing? Cannon, that's easy. Cannon. So, Michael and Marcy are here from PayTrace to cover basically what they do. So let's give them a
So I'm Marcy Taylor, Michael Cannon with PayTrace, and PayTrace is a web-based SaaS solution. And our value is in the B2B, B2G space. That's where we work well, that's where our software serves best. You want to take it to the next slide? We'll just kind of give you a brief overview of what we're going to talk about. The hardest thing about our presentation today is going to be trying to keep it within 15 minutes because we're pretty passionate about this and we could talk all day. So first off, we did a sales contest. You guys probably all know that, in an 8-week period from August 12th to yesterday, and we will go over the winner here in a second. We'll talk about CoCard's growth, show you where the savings are with B2B. We'll talk about B2B. Yeah, what's so important about that? Big deal, right? It is a big deal. And then tools and takeaways, and then just kind of wrap up and let you guys have some Q&A. So if you go to the next, we're going to announce the winners. The very first winner was Andy's team, and second place came in with Dan's team. Number 2. And it was so close. We had a photo finish.
Oh my God! I lost to Andy. How could that be? Sorry, Dad. Come on. You're number 2.
Although the secret is, all number 1 gets is a $500 gift card. Number 2 gets PayTrace branded swag, a sweatshirt, a power pack. There's a water container in there, stuff that they don't get.
I wanted the steak knives.
How many did Andy get?
You got $500, right?
How many accounts?
17, 18? What did he clip me by? I had 17.
Nobody had 18. He had 17 and a half.
You clipped me by 1?
It couldn't have been any closer.
It couldn't have been any closer.
18. We're splitting that. Give me 150. Give me, okay, all right, back to the show. You get an extended 5 minutes, by the way, because of this.
Okay, thank you.
What's the next one?
So you guys have been with us just a short while, but what I love looking at where you guys started out, 25, you're at 166, just in a very short time. So I mean, you guys are just rocketing. That's awesome. We go to the next slide. Here's the one I love the most. So here's CoCard's numbers for this quarter, and what you can see up there is your level 2 or level 3 transactions, just the transactions. Well, it's on the next one, sorry. But just in quarter 3, you guys are saving your merchants over $135,000, and that's just using 60 basis points as a guideline. I mean, that's pretty conservative. Quarters 1 through 3, you guys have almost tripled that, so you're saving your merchants over $300,000 in B2B. And then just to show you what PayTrace is doing, in 1 quarter, we're saving merchants $29 million. So let's talk about that, because not everybody in the room knows what's B2B, what's level 2, level 3.
Yeah, so let's break this down just a little bit to make sure everyone's on the same page. We take a quick survey. How many people here are focused on retail restaurant? Raise your hands. Or POS? How many people in any form focus on B2B merchants? Raise your hand. Fewer. In any way. How many people know what, when we say things like level 2, level 3, how many people know what that means? Okay, well, for those of you who don't, level 2 and 3 refers to a data set that gets passed at the time of the transaction. So level 2 and 3 are primarily business and corporate cards. When a payer goes to pay with a business or corporate card, business cards require let me see if I can say this, an enhanced level of data. So there's a few more fields that Visa and MasterCard require to be passed with the transaction. There's like three or four fields for level 2. Level 3 is more like 20 fields to qualify at level 2 or 3 interchange rates. How many people are familiar with interchange? Everyone pretty much, right? So if you process those additional fields for level 2 and 3 transactions, you qualify at level 2 and 3 rates, which are significantly lower. The problem with that is the merchant, in many cases, at the time of the transaction has to, 1, recognize that it is a business or corporate card at that time, and 2, they have to take the time to enter in those additional fields that they want to qualify. We've tried to solve that problem, and so what the PayTrace system does is, based on the BIN, we can recognize at the time of the transaction if it's a level 2 or 3 card, and if it's eligible for lower rates. If it is, we will auto-populate those fields so the merchant doesn't have to sit there and do it on their own. So theoretically, they don't even have to know that they're accepting a level 2 or 3 qualifiable type card. So just like any other card, they can
All they're worried about is if you approve or
they can
not.
process
We're
it
taking care of everything.
and still
on
get the
that end.
rates. Yeah. So that said, with this kind of savings, I heard someone say earlier in the day that in processing a gateway, in setting up a merchant with a gateway, the nickel per transaction cost was a deal breaker in that scenario. In this scenario, let me point something out. In just the third quarter, CoCard merchants saved $135,000. If you add up the numbers of transactions that it took to get that kind of savings, it was around 15,000 transactions, actually a little bit less. So at 5 cents an item, if they're processing 15,000 transactions, that costs them about $750 to get $135,000 in savings. So the pricing is no longer a deal breaker at 5 cents an item. At that point, you can price it however you want. You can charge basis points, you can charge a higher per item, whatever you want. That's profit to you at that point. So enough about that stuff.
Sure, okay,
If you're looking at a monthly statement, how do you figure out if let's say a big restaurant is taking a lot of corporate cards? Is it designated on the statement, or is it coming up just as an additional charge to the
No.
So the question was, for those who couldn't hear, how do you see on the statement if a merchant is processing business and corporate cards? Usually it's itemized on the statement. If it's not, it's hard to tell in any way. I mean, if they mask it, then it's hard to break it out. But if they spell out the interchange categories, it's as simple as just looking for business card or corporate card rates on that statement.
And typically it's going to be the 2.65 or higher. And then if it's tiered, of course, we're going to be probably in the non-qualified. And believe it or not, just another example, one thing we've seen or heard from another partner, there was I think they called it interchange. It was a last fee kind of added in, and it was a $400 fee, and it was called like interchange optimization or interchange something. So don't look for it just in the rates. Make sure you look at the whole statement because you've seen that.
Question about, you were saying something about the 20 different fields. What are these fields we're talking about? Are they ABS fields? Or?
Yep, it's ABS fields. What's the merchant?
So the question was, what type of fields are they for the level 2 and 3? Well, we can show you actually in a demo if you want to stop by the table. But in level 2, it's things like invoice number, tax amount, destination zip. Yeah, there's, I can't recall at the moment, but there's 20 of them for the level 3. So some of the fields, we know what they are because at the time we set up the account, you tell us the information. For example, MCC code, zip code. A lot of these we know, and so there's no reason not to just pre-populate that. Most systems just don't do it. So we've leveraged what we already know about the account to just pre-populate those fields.
E-commerce? Still working on e-commerce?
So let's go to the next slide here. So we referenced the B2B market. Let's just put in scope the opportunity that exists. These are MasterCard's numbers, so we didn't just make this up. Altogether, the B2B market is a $22 trillion market between business to business and business to government. They estimate that of that, only 10% of that market is tapped right now. So if you compare that to the retail restaurant market or other markets that are a lot more saturated than that, where you have people coming in the door, in front of you and behind you to compete with you all day long. Compare that to this, where it's a little bit more green grass, where you can have a little bit less competition if you have tools to sell in this area.
And the market, merchants still don't know about level 2, level 3. Reps still don't know about level 2, level 3. We know the market's untapped, so it's not too late. It's still time to diversify into the B2B market. You're not behind. Let's put it that way.
So yeah, So what types of merchants are these? The people always ask us, well, what types of merchants is PayTrace best suited for? So we know, I'll just say it, we're not good in every market. We don't try to be everything, all things to all people, right? There's just certain markets that we're not a good fit for. This is the market we're a good fit for, though, it's the B2B market. And so we've studied all of our portfolio. Some use this just as a gateway. We're competitive as just a gateway, but this is kind of what we would call our sweet spot, the types of B2B merchants that we work the best with, and that our clients who make the most money are selling in this space. So they typically are larger merchants. They have multiple users, multiple MIDs. They do larger volumes of transactions. They process a high amount of level 2 and level 3. The average ticket, so that makes the average ticket higher. CoCard's average ticket, right? These are over.
Yeah.
Right? Your level 2 average is over $1,000, and your level 3 average is over $2,300. Those are high even by level 2 and level 3 standards. So great job.
Yeah. Good job.
They typically use stored customer data and reporting, and a lot of times they use an integration. So they'll have an inventory system, an ERP, something like that they'll integrate with us as the payment gateway. So I know you can't read this. Let me just describe what this is showing. Attrition is also much lower in the B2B space. This is just on the left. It's a list of SIC codes and business types, and then on the right, those bars indicate in number of months how long their typical lifespan is with a third-party processor. The one on the very top, which the average is, they say 53 months with a third party. There's doctor's office, physician's office, automotive parts is second. A little bit further down, legal services, dentists, lodging, optometrists. Toward the bottom, let's see, I can't read that. Eating places, restaurants, membership clubs, beauty shops, veterinary services, miscellaneous food stores, that sort of thing. So a little bit more retail. We can see at the bottom it's a little bit more retail. At the top is more B2B professional services. So someone that stopped by the table mentioned a good sales tactic that they were calling on a large merchant who did some catering business, took a lot of B2B, level 2 and 3 cards. Their next step to get into this market, to get out of just the restaurant and into distribution in the B2B market, is just to simply ask the accountant, CFO of the restaurant, who supplies your restaurants? Who do you use your business card for, and who pays you with a business card? That immediately opens doors to other types of businesses other than just the face-to-face. You're suddenly now in the distributor, general B2B space. So I think that probably brings us to our time. before we go, I know we made it.
Jump to the next one. While you're looking. Okay, here's nutrition. I love this. So industry average is around 25%. PayTrace's average is around 13%. But when you look at the B2B, it's 2.6, and it's even a little bit lower when you break it down into level 2 and level 3. So these merchants stay put. They're quality sensitive, not price sensitive. You get them put, and they're going to stay put with you longer. They're not going to jump ship every time someone can save them $100 a month. And they're also tech savvy. So once you get them up and going, they're good to go. You're not going to be supporting that merchant like you do some of your other merchants who are calling you on a Friday night or, you know, a Saturday. So there's a lot of advantage to being in the B2B space. And then just last thing, you know, we're hunting ISVs. So if you're out there in the marketplace and you're coming across a certain ISV, we want to know that name of that ISV. And if that merchant has a contact for that ISV, we'd love that too, because we're this year we're on the hunt for ISVs. We're going to amp that up a lot. We have some new B2B courses for reps. So we have free webinars for your reps that you can go on. You can take as many classes as you want. They're free to you. We also have ISV spotlights. So every month we're going to focus on a spotlight. They're going to do a demonstration of their ISV. And on our website for the demonstration videos, we've recorded those. So you can actually go in there and listen to the Verosa spotlight, the Chargent spotlight, which is an ISV for Salesforce, a couple QuickBooks spotlights. So I'd encourage you to look at the video demonstrations on there. And then we're coming out with a new marketing piece on interchange optimization. It's going to be on our website. And within there, there's going to be a link in there for the Visa Supplier Locator tool. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but you can plug in your area, you can plug in a SIC code, an area, and be able to tell whether they're already getting level 2 and level 3, and it'll bring up all the suppliers like in 5085 within a 25-mile radius. So, what's that? We were hoping this week, but I do have a link to it, so I can send it to you. So if you have a card or you want to write down your email, I'll send it to you. And then last is just stay the course. You know, like I said, you've got time to get into the B2B market. You're not behind. Merchants need to be educated. And you're probably your hardest thing to sell them on is that you probably could raise their rate and save them money, because this will increase your margins for sure.
One more question.
Will you ever have a calculator for doing a proposal, you know, for looking at the different interchange categories to enhance?
We like that. We've seen one like that. We were kind of playing with that for this piece that we're doing. I don't think it has an actual calculator on there, but it does have rates and it shows you everything in there. So
this version doesn't have a calculator, but I'll tell you that we like that idea.
Yeah.
So it might be a later version of it.
Here also, thank you.
But if you're looking at a statement, if you're looking at a merchant statement that shows you the interchange categories that their activity is falling into,
Right.
then every Visa is going to be 80 points cheaper than
Right.
level 3 from level 1. And every MasterCard that qualifies is going to be 90 points cheaper from level 1 to level 3. Unless they fall in a large ticket, and then it's even more. So you're roughly 1% cheaper. And go from there.
Neil, that group with Richard and Neil, they're kind of experts in this, and tomorrow I invited Neil up for part of the Sales Council, Success Sales. I wanted different industry niches, and so these guys, Richard and Neil, are really good at those type of questions. I know it took us a while, but when I look at a statement now, when I see high ticket especially, I look at the name of the company on that statement. So I get statements from banks and stuff. I see that it's a B2B. I immediately jump down to anything that's saying business versus corporate. There's a difference. When you see, it might not say level L2, level 3, but it will say, if it says business, I think, versus corporate, it's a difference, right?
Right.
Which one doesn't get slid into those buckets? Is it corporate? You look for anything with business. L3.
Business is L3.
Because I've had merchants with an average, you think it internet orders, large ticket, corporate credit cards, you're over 3, you like an effective rate of 3%. I switch them to this, their effective rate is like 1.5%. 1.5% on a corporate credit card. It's a miracle. So anyway.
Last thing, we have our values up here, and whenever we have a meeting at PayTrace, we always end and kind of go around the room and we say, hey, Michael, I really appreciate your level of expertise, and I love watching your presentation style. So In this case, I just kind of wanted to acknowledge 3 people. Scott, I just want to acknowledge you for your integrity. We had that snafu with our PayTrace Go, and you made it a very bearable situation. It was a pain point for us, but I appreciate your integrity working through that problem. Jenny and her staff, we had something come up, and you guys were right on the ball. I appreciate your reliability and your responsiveness every time we reach out to you guys. Please share that with the gals. And then last but not least, number 1 in my heart, last in the program, number 1 in my heart, Richard, Neil, appreciate you guys for your industry expertise. We know that if we even have a question, we could call you or bounce ideas off of you, so very much appreciate that.
I'll give you something for your next slide about B2B. So B2B, the interesting thing about B2B that everyone should realize.
Hold on, Richard. Hold on, no one can hear you.
Just talk louder. Or stand out.
Okay, so the interesting thing about B2B is unlike if you're a POS deal, you're dealing with restaurants. Those restaurants right now are 90% credit card. There's very little organic growth to expect from that restaurant unless that restaurant expands. Most B2B merchants are maybe 5% of their business is credit card. So understand, if they go from 5 to 10%, you just doubled your volumes without doing anything, and then doubled your revenue. So there's a lot of organic growth available in this B2B as well.
Yeah, great information. Let's give them a hand. Great job.